When it comes to Souls-like games, I realize that I'm not that great at them, but there is something compelling about them. When they are done really well, you feel like they are these huge challenges that you need to overcome, and you want to overcome them. You find yourself naturally coming back even if you keep losing. There's a sense of satisfaction in learning your enemies and conquering the boss fights. When you beat one of these games, it feels like you have earned a badge of honor. At the same time, I like when indies try to take their own stab at this genre. Last year, we saw a few of these released within the indie space. Death's Gambit was a fun side-scrolling Dark Souls game with an excellent soundtrack. And then there was an interesting boss fight focused Souls game that was called Sinner. Both were interesting additions to the Souls-like space. I found a similar interest when I played the demo version of Decay of Logos. It looked like a combination of a Souls-like and an older action-adventure title. Plus, the simple visual style had me interested. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you my review for Decay of Logos. Decay of Logos is a new action-adventure RPG that has Souls-like combat and fun exploration. I did enjoy some of the first area. The game sort of drops you right into the world with very little context. There are some tutorial stations that can help to give you the basics on how to play the game, but you're really learning as you go. One thing that I really liked was how there were a lot of hidden paths and areas that rewarded you with new items. Exploring was worth doing and usually always rewarding. The earliest example of this is when you find the axe. You start the game out with a sword, but this isn't the best weapon to fight many of the tree-like monsters. The axe had a description on it that said it was really good against wood, so I tried using it against the tree enemies. What I also noticed was how my weapon would not degrade when fighting against trees, where my sword would slowly degrade if I used it against them. I did like the idea of needing to pay attention to some of the smaller details to the items, and then being rewarded for putting some thought into it. I think this type of stuff feels more rewarding, since you're sort of figuring it out as you go rather than being handheld. The combat ranges from being decent to fun. The enemies can be a bit inconsistent, as some feel like pushovers, and then you can fight the same enemy in another area and then they'll kill you in about a few hits. I do think consistent and more competent AI would definitely improve these encounters. The weapons are generally fun to use, even though there's a bit of an odd input lag when you first draw your weapon and then swing your weapon. It is an odd delay that I think they can update with a quick fix. The combat is going to feel familiar to anyone who has played a Souls game before. The game uses a stamina system, and this is something that you will need to monitor, since stamina is used when you attack and dodge. Exploration rewards you with better items, and you can also get better items from defeating enemies. They may drop useful potions or armor for you to use. Overall, I was having a decent but fun time with the game. I thought the combat was fine, and I think the highlight really was the exploration, but I sadly hit many issues within my first few hours of the game. I hit some minor issues early on, like my sprint button being unresponsive, along with the game not registering that I wanted to exit out of some of the tutorial hint screens. Another odd decision within the game is how the game does not indicate how much experience you earn from enemies that you kill, along with an experience bar that shows you how much experience you have. You do level up from killing enemies, but the game needs to provide more information to the player. I would be fine if the experience earned didn't appear above a defeated enemy's head, but I think an experience progress bar should be displayed within the stats screen. Sadly, these were not the only issues that I experienced. I was exploring the first main area and I encountered several issues. One big one was when I went into my horse's satchel to store some excess items. I tried dropping off some items to my horse, but the game wouldn't let me then leave this horse inventory screen. I ended up being stuck within the screen and I couldn't leave. I tried hitting a bunch of different button combinations to leave the screen. Nothing worked except for hitting the button to go into the player inventory screen, which sort of pasted itself on top of the horse inventory screen. I was able to get out of these screens again, but then another issue cropped up. I now noticed that I couldn't pick up any new items that were dropped on the ground. I would be over the item, but then I couldn't pick anything up. The game would register that there was an item there, but the game wouldn't register that I was trying to pick it up. Considering I will need to pick up more items to get better equipment and potions, I was going to be in a very difficult spot going forward. So at this point, the game was providing me with some fun, but a lot of concerns, and especially if this game was stable enough to continue forward. And then I hit another issue. I ended up in a situation where my character couldn't pick up any equipment, and now I couldn't equip my weapons, and you need those to be able to fight the enemies. I tried sleeping within the game and going back to the main menu and then loading my save, hoping that it would kind of correct itself. But nothing worked and I was stuck. I was barely into the game and I had hit a wall. This was extremely frustrating to experience and very demotivating. While I had only played the game for a bit, all of my progress was effectively deleted, and I was really worried because if this had happened further into the game and I had had the same issue, I probably wouldn't even want to restart it. Since I was having a decent time before all of the glitches started to affect the game, I wanted to try the game over again and see if I could get a bit further. I tried grinding for experience points within the first area, and I eventually ran into the same issue where I couldn't pick up an item that was dropped by an enemy. My character would continually try to pick it up, but the game wouldn't register that action. This happened more than once. I also decided to stay away from my horse's satchel because I think that was related to getting stuck and eventually not being able to use my weapons. I wanted to make the developers aware of the issues I had within the game so that they could hopefully fix them. From their response, they seemed receptive to the feedback and they suggested that I played again the next day as a patch was scheduled to go out. So the following day after work, I booted up the game and found that my previous save that was messed up because the game wouldn't let me use any of my weapons was now fixed. I could use my weapons again. I also noticed that I could pick up items from enemies and did not experience issues with picking any others up. And right when I was about to get back into enjoying the game froze on me and I lost all of my progress because you can only save at certain spots. I figured maybe this freeze was hopefully a one-time thing, and then it happened again. On top of this, I couldn't find my horse, and your mount is needed to be able to help you get through certain areas. I looked around most of the map and you have this flute that helps to call your animal, and nothing seemed to work. I finally decided that I couldn't continue playing this game in its current state. Anytime I felt like I was making some progress, something in the game would set me back, creating an extremely frustrating experience. Looking at the game and the exploration, I actually enjoyed what was presented here. While nothing seemed like anything original, it was pretty fun and I very much enjoyed the exploration. Being able to find secrets and hidden items that provided better weapons was a lot of fun, and being dropped into an environment that you need to figure your way out was also fun as well. But I felt like from a stability standpoint, this game needs a lot more work to be able to feel comfortable that I wouldn't lose my progress if I managed to proceed within the game. But since the first area of the game contained many issues like not being able to use my weapons, pick up items, and then freezing, I don't have much confidence in the rest of the game providing a stable experience. I do want to state that this is all based on my time with the game, and that this might not be the experience that other people have. But I do think that if other people experience what I had experienced, they would get extremely frustrated with it. I do want to commend the developers in that they already released a patch to help improve their game, and considering that this game is not out to the public yet, I do want to make note of that I will update a pinned comment in the comments section if fixes are made to the game. Also, because I enjoyed what I had played before it started to not work, this is a game that I would happily revisit if it receives updates and patches, making for a better experience. If the developers release substantial updates to improve their game, I would happily review this updated version of it. I enjoyed the demo I had played at PAX and saw the potential, but I sadly cannot recommend this game in its current state. I wish the developers the best of luck, and I hope they can fix their game.